DuoTale English.
where every story teaches you English. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DuoTale English. I am Lena, and I have to say, I am really excited about today's episode. Like, genuinely excited, more than usual.
And I am Marcus. And yes, Lena has been talking about today's topic since before we even started recording. She was pacing around the room.
I was not pacing.
You were absolutely pacing. I watched you do 3 full laps.
Okay, maybe 2.5, but I cannot help it. This topic just gets me. It is one of those topics that feels very personal to me.
And I think that is going to come through in the conversation today. And I think our listeners are going to feel it too. Because this topic, it touches something that most people have felt at some point in their life.
Exactly. But before we get into it, welcome to anyone who is new here. On DuoTale English, every week we bring you a real conversation built around a real-life story. You improve your English naturally, not through textbook drills, but through listening, feeling, and connecting.
And at the end of every episode, we break down the most important vocabulary and phrases from the conversation. So if you miss something, do not worry. We will come back to it.
Please subscribe if you haven't already, and share this episode with someone you think needs to hear it today, because I have a feeling a lot of people need this one. Okay, Marcus, are you ready?
I have been ready since I walked in and saw you pacing.
Stop. Let's go.
So, today's topic. Tell me, Lena, what is it?
Today's topic is, it is time to change your life. For good.
Ooh, that is a big one.
It is a big one, and I want to be clear about something straight away. We are not talking about motivational poster stuff. We are not going to tell you to wake up at 4 a.m. and run a marathon.
Good, because I would immediately turn this podcast off.
Same. No, what we're talking about today is something much more real, much more quiet. It's about that moment, that very specific moment when something inside you shifts, and you just know. You know that something has to change.
Have you had a moment like that, personally?
Yes, and I'm going to talk about it today, which honestly I was a little nervous about, but I think it's important to be real with the people who listen to us.
And I think that is one of the things people love most about this podcast, actually, that we're real. We're not pretending everything is perfect.
Life is not perfect, and growth is not perfect, and change, real change, is messy and uncomfortable and slow, but it is also one of the most powerful things a human being can do. Choose to become better.
I love that. And today we are going to talk about all of that through a story, the story of a woman named Nina.
Nina's story.
So, Nina is 32 years old. She works as a graphic designer at a busy agency. She's good at her job, really good actually. Her clients love her boss trusts her completely.
On paper, Nina's life looks great. She has a steady job, a nice flat, good friends. From the outside, everything seems completely fine.
But on the inside?
On the inside, Nina feels stuck, like she's living the same day over and over again. Wake up, work, come home, watch something, sleep, repeat.
And she can't even explain why she feels that way, because nothing is technically wrong. There's no big crisis, no dramatic problem, just this quiet, persistent feeling of, is this it? Is this really all there is?
And that feeling, that quiet feeling, is actually one of the most exhausting feelings in the world, because you can't point to anything specific and say, this is the problem, fix this. It's just a heaviness that's always there.
You know, I actually understand that very well. I went through something similar a few years ago.
Did you?
Yeah, I was in a job that was fine, not bad, just fine. And fine started to feel like a prison after a while, because fine is not enough. Fine is just surviving, not living.
That's exactly it. Fine is surviving, not living. Okay, so back to Nina. So one evening, it's a Tuesday, nothing special about this Tuesday. Nina comes home from work. She makes dinner, she sits on her sofa, she opens her phone to scroll through social media like she does every evening.
And she sees a photo.
She sees a photo. It's posted by an old friend from university, a woman called Maya. And in the photo, Maya is standing at the top of a mountain. Big smile, arms spread wide, looking completely free.
And the caption says, 6 months ago, I quit my job, packed a bag, and started over. Best decision I ever made.
And Nina stares at that photo for a long time, and for a second she thinks, good for Maya, nice photo, and she starts to scroll past it.
But then she stops.
She stops, and she goes back to the photo, and she notices something. She notices that she doesn't feel happy for Maya. She feels envious, a deep, uncomfortable envy.
And that feeling, that envy, that's the moment. That's Nina's wake-up call.
Because she realizes the envy is not really about Maya, it's about herself. She's not envious of the mountain, she's envious of the courage, the decision, the fact that Maya chose her own life and Nina hasn't.
That's such a powerful realization, and such an honest one, because it would have been easy to just feel happy for her friend and move on. But Nina sat with that uncomfortable feeling instead of running from it.
And sitting with uncomfortable feelings is actually where most real change begins, not in the motivational speeches, not in the Instagram quotes, in the quiet, honest moments where you face yourself.
So what does Nina do?
She puts her phone down, she gets a notebook, and I love that in our stories, people always go for a notebook.
Notebooks are magic, apparently.
They really are. She gets a notebook and she writes one question at the top of a blank page, just one question. And that question is, what would my life look like if I wasn't afraid?
Oh, that question.
That question.
That's a terrifying question to ask yourself, honestly.
It is terrifying because the honest answer, Nina's honest answer, is very different from the life she's currently living.
So she starts writing. What comes out?
First thing she writes is this: I would leave my job, not because she hates it, but because she's always wanted to do her own thing, work for herself, have her own clients, her own projects, her own time.
She's a graphic designer. That's actually very possible as a freelancer.
Completely possible, but fear has always stopped her. What if I don't get enough clients? What if I can't pay my rent? What if I fail?
The classic fear loop. What if, what if, what if?
Exactly. Then she writes, I would travel more, not just holidays, real travel, going somewhere alone, sitting in a cafe in a city she's never been to, reading a book, not for Instagram, just for herself.
There is something so beautiful about that image, sitting alone in a cafe in an unknown city with a book, complete freedom.
I've done that, actually. I went to Lisbon on my own 3 years ago, and I remember sitting outside this tiny cafe with a coffee and a book and just thinking, I'm completely free right now. Nobody needs me. Nobody knows where I am. I'm just here.
That sounds incredible.
It was one of the best days of my life, genuinely.
Okay, I need to plan a solo trip.
Do it, Marcus, do it. Okay, so the third thing Nina writes is this, and this one surprised me when I was thinking about her story. She writes, I would stop pretending I'm fine.
Oh, that one hits differently.
It does, because Nina realizes she's been performing okayness for a very long time, telling everyone she's fine, smiling at work, going to dinners and laughing and saying everything is great, and none of it is a lie exactly, but none of it is the full truth either.
It's exhausting to perform okayness, to carry that gap between how you present yourself to the world and how you actually feel on the inside.
Exhausting. And I think, and I say this from experience, a lot of people are doing that right now, walking around with a perfectly curated version of themselves on the outside and something very different on the inside.
And the gap between those two things, that gap is where the emptiness lives.
Perfectly said, Marcus. That gap is exactly where it lives.
So Nina has written her honest answers. She's faced herself. What happens next? Because this is the part where most people stop, right?
They have the moment of clarity, they write the list, and then nothing changes.
Right, because change is not a feeling. Change is a decision, followed by another decision, followed by another, every single day.
So what does Nina decide? She decides she's not going to change everything at once. She already knows from past experience that when she tries to change everything at once, she changes nothing because it's too overwhelming, too scary. The gap between where she is and where she wants to be feels impossibly large.
So she picks one thing.
She picks one thing, and the one thing she picks is honesty. She's going to start being more honest. Not brutally honest, not blurting out everything she feels to everyone she meets, but genuinely, quietly, consistently honest. With herself first, and then slowly with the people around her.
That's such a smart place to start, actually, because everything else, the career change, the travel, all of it, it can only happen once you're honest about what you actually want.
Exactly. You can't build a life you love on a foundation of pretending. So she starts small. The next day at work, her boss asks, "How are you getting on with the new project?" And instead of saying, "Great, fine, all good," she says, "Honestly, I'm finding it a bit challenging. I think I need some help with the direction."
And what happens?
Her boss says, "Okay, no problem. Let's sit down together this afternoon and talk it through." And they do, and the project gets better. And Nina realizes that small, honest moment cost her nothing, and it gave her so much.
Because we spend so much energy being afraid of honesty. We think it will make us look weak or incompetent or difficult, but most of the time, honest people are respected more, not less.
Most of the time, yes. So that is the first small change. Then, the second one, she calls her best friend, a woman she has known since she was 19, and she says, "I need to tell you something. I have not been okay for a while. Not in a crisis, but not okay either. And I think I have been pretending with you, and I do not want to do that anymore."
What does the friend say?
The friend cries and says, "I have been feeling the same way, and I did not know how to say it either."
Oh, that is everything. That moment of, oh, you too.
You too. And that's the thing about vulnerability and honesty. It almost always invites the same thing back. When you are real, other people feel safe enough to be real too. And suddenly, you're not alone in it anymore.
That gave me actual goosebumps.
Me too, every time I think about it.
So let's jump forward. 6 months after that Tuesday evening on the sofa. Where is Nina now?
Nina is still at her job. She has not quit, not yet, but she has started taking on small freelance projects in the evenings. Nothing massive, just building slowly, building confidence, building a client list.
The thing she was always too afraid to start.
The thing she told herself she would do someday, and someday is now. She also booked a solo trip, 4 days in Porto. She goes in 2 weeks. She's terrified and excited in equal measure.
That mix of terrified and excited, that's the sign you're doing the right thing, by the way. That's not a warning. That's a green light.
I completely believe that. If something only feels exciting, it's probably too comfortable. If something only feels terrifying, it's probably too much too soon. But that mix, terrified and excited, that's growth territory.
Growth territory. I love that.
And the third thing, she stopped pretending, not just in the big conversations, in small ways every day. She started saying no to things she didn't want to do. She started saying yes to things that actually excited her. She started letting herself feel things instead of immediately pushing them away.
And how does she feel now, 6 months later?
She still feels scared sometimes. She still has hard days. She still doesn't have everything figured out. But she feels awake. For the first time in a long time, she feels like she's actually living her life, not just moving through it.
There's such a difference between living your life and moving through it. And I think so many people are moving through it, on autopilot, just passing time.
And Nina's story isn't about having all the answers. It's not a perfect transformation. It's not a before and after photo. It's about making one honest choice, and then another, until slowly, the life you're living starts to look a little more like the life you actually want.
That's it. That's the whole thing right there.
Can I share something personal for a second?
Of course, please.
Nina's story, parts of it are mine. Not exactly, but the feeling of being stuck, the performing of okayness, the moment of looking at someone else's life and feeling that uncomfortable envy. I know all of those feelings.
When was that for you?
About 4 years ago, I was in a job I had outgrown. I was in a relationship that wasn't right, and I was telling everyone and myself that everything was fine because I was terrified of change, genuinely terrified.
What happened?
I had a conversation with my mom, and she said something to me that I will never forget. She said, Lena, the life you're settling for and the life you're capable of are two very different things. And one day, you'll have to choose which one you're going to live.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not sleep that night. And then I made some very difficult decisions. And I cried a lot. And it was hard and scary. And then slowly, very slowly, things started to feel right. More right than they had felt in years.
Thank you for sharing that, Lena. I mean it. That takes courage.
Thank you. I share it because I want people listening to know if you're in that place right now, in that stuck, quiet, performing okayness place, you're not alone. And it doesn't have to stay that way.
And for what it's worth, I also had a version of that moment. Mine was less dramatic, but I remember being on a train one morning going to a job I didn't care about anymore. And I looked out the window at the city passing by and I just thought, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And that thought, that single thought, was the beginning of everything changing.
It always starts with a thought, just one honest thought.
So what does real change actually look like? Because I think there's a big myth about change. The myth is that it happens in one dramatic moment, one decision. One day, everything is different.
The Hollywood version of change.
Exactly. Big music, montage, 3 months later, everything is perfect.
With a new haircut. Always a new haircut in the montage.
Always. But real change is quiet. It's showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's choosing the slightly harder but slightly better thing every day. It's 2 steps forward and 1 step back and still keeping going.
And it's uncomfortable. Let's be honest about that. Change is uncomfortable because you're leaving behind something familiar, even if that familiar thing isn't good for you. Even a cage feels like home if you've been in it long enough.
Oh, that's a powerful image. Even a cage feels like home.
The familiar is comfortable, even when it's limiting, and stepping out of the familiar, even towards something better, triggers a kind of grief, a mourning for the old version of yourself, the old life, even when the old life wasn't making you happy.
That's actually really important to name, because a lot of people start changing their lives and then feel sad about it, and they think that means they made the wrong choice. But it doesn't. Grief and growth can exist at the same time.
They almost always do. You can be moving towards something better and grieve what you're leaving behind. Both things are true, and both things are okay.
What's the most important ingredient for real change? If you had to pick one thing.
Honesty. Every time. You can't change a life you're not honest about. You can't fix a problem you won't admit exists. You can't move toward what you want if you're not willing to look at what's not working.
And for me, the most important thing is patience, because change is slow, painfully slow sometimes. And we live in a world that tells us everything should happen fast, results in 30 days, transform in a week. And when change doesn't happen at that speed, people give up. They think it's not working. But it is working. It's just working slowly, like roots growing underground before anything appears above the surface.
Oh, I love that. Roots growing underground. You can't see them, but they're there, working, growing, getting stronger.
And one day, you look up and there's something beautiful growing. And you think, when did that happen? And the answer is, it was happening the whole time. You just couldn't see it yet.
That is actually the most beautiful thing you've ever said on this podcast, Marcus.
Don't tell me that. Now I have to live up to it every episode.
Too late. It's recorded. It's in the universe now.
Okay, vocabulary time. Let's look at the most important words and phrases from today's episode. And I want to say, today's vocabulary is a little different. These are not just phrases for describing routines or daily life. These are phrases for talking about emotions, growth, and life decisions. The kind of English you need for real, deep conversations.
Yes, this is high-level English, B2 and above. But don't be scared, we'll explain everything clearly.
First phrase, feel stuck. To feel stuck means to feel like you can't move forward, like your life is not progressing, like you're in the same place even though time is passing. For example, I've been feeling really stuck lately. I don't know what my next step is. Or she felt stuck in a job that no longer challenged her.
Next, wake-up call. A wake-up call is an event or moment that makes you suddenly realize something important, usually that you need to change something in your life. For example, losing my job was a wake-up call. It made me think about what I really wanted to do. Or seeing that photo was Nina's wake-up call.
Third, on autopilot. To be on autopilot means to do things automatically, without really thinking or feeling. You're just going through the motions. For example, I spent 2 years on autopilot, just working and sleeping without any real purpose. Or when you stop making conscious choices, life just puts you on autopilot.
Next, face yourself. To face yourself means to be completely honest with yourself, to look at your fears, your failures, your real feelings, without running away from them. For example, change begins when you are willing to face yourself honestly, or it was hard to face myself and admit that I was unhappy.
Fifth, settle for. To settle for something means to accept something that's less than what you really want, because you're afraid or you don't believe you deserve better. For example, don't settle for a life that doesn't excite you. Or she had been settling for comfortable instead of going after what she really wanted.
Sixth, go through the motions. This is a beautiful idiom. To go through the motions means to do the actions of something without really feeling anything. You're doing the thing, but your heart isn't in it. For example, I had been going through the motions at work for months. I showed up, but I wasn't really there. Or their relationship had become routine. They were just going through the motions.
And the last one, leap of faith. A leap of faith is a decision you make to do something even though you're not sure it will work. You can't see all the steps, but you jump anyway. You trust the process. For example, starting my own business was a leap of faith. I didn't know if it would work, but I knew I had to try. Or sometimes the only way forward is a leap of faith.
7 beautiful phrases. And I want to challenge you. Before this episode ends, pick one of those phrases and write a sentence using it about your own life, right now, in the comments. That's your homework today.
Okay, we're coming to the end of episode 3 of DuoTale English, and I have to say this has been one of my favorite conversations we've had.
Mine too, without question.
We talked about Nina, about that quiet feeling of being stuck, about the moment she looked at a photo and felt something shift inside her, about the courage it takes to ask yourself, what would my life look like if I was not afraid?
And we talked about what real change actually looks like. Not the Hollywood version, not the motivational poster version, the real version. Slow, uncomfortable, honest, and deeply, deeply worth it.
And I want to leave you with one thought before you go. Whatever it is you are holding back on, the thing you keep saying someday to, someday is a thief. It steals your life one day at a time.
You do not have to change everything today. You do not have to have a plan. You just have to take one honest step. One small, brave, honest step in the direction of the life you actually want.
And our question of the day. We would love to hear from you. What is one thing you have been wanting to change in your life? Write it in the comments. It does not have to be big. Big or small, we want to read it. We want to cheer you on.
We really do. Every single comment. And if you used one of today's vocabulary phrases in your comment, even better.
Please subscribe to DuoTale English. Share this episode. And if you know someone who needs to hear today's message, send it to them right now. Do not wait. Some messages arrive at exactly the right time.
Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for being open. It means everything to us. Take care of yourselves, everyone. And remember,
The life you are settling for and the life you are capable of, they are two very different things.
choose the second one. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye, Lena.
Bye, Marcus. See y'all next week.